Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. My guest today is Alex Neist. He is the co-creator of Hostage Tape. You want to breathe better? You want to sleep better? You want to get rid or help your sleep apnea? You need to try this out. This is not a trend. This is not a gimmick. This is a real-life medical application that you can change your sleep patterns with. I can personally attest to this. I have dozens of clients that I have doing it, family members, friends. You're not going to want to miss this episode. Enjoy.
I took 4 years of French in high school.
Oh, really?
And I can't speak a lick of it. My French name was Jean-Claude, and I only picked it because of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
My brother and I, we grew up, we called these the white underwear movies, where we would grow up and we would watch old movies in our white underwear, like on Saturday mornings. Yeah. And Bloodsport was like one of those classic.
My goodness, that is such a good one.
Is that Steven Seagal?
No. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal were in a lot of movies together.
Bloodsport was the one where it's Frank Dukes. It's a true story of Frank Dukes, where he's a kickboxer, or no, not kickboxer, whatever it was. And he was the only American who went in and he won this competition.
Oh, cool. How was he as a martial artist, Jean-Claude Van Damme? I mean, was he actually legit? It's hard to tell. It really is. I didn't know this. This is a really seamless transition to actually talk about Steven Seagal, because I wanted to for so long.
I see where this is going.
I just haven't. I heard another story about him. Okay, so
is that the one that you texted us?
The guy from Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, perfect. So, you ever seen Groundhog Day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Ned Ryerson. I don't remember the guy's name, the actor's name. He's kind of balding. Hey, Ned, that guy. He played a serial killer in a movie with Steven Seagal back in the 90s, like way back in the 90s. I don't even remember the name of it. But in this movie, at the time and place when they shot it, apparently, like 2 weeks pre-production, Steven Seagal had a spiritual awakening where he decided that it was morally wrong for him to play this justified murdering gunslinger, and he wanted all violence removed from his movies. And this movie, the movie is like it's called like Death Roll 2 or something. It's like one of his like classic kill 'em, shoot 'em up, violent sagas. And he apparently took to the studio. He's like, I can't do this. I can't be violent anymore. And that guy, the guy who's in the scene with him, is the guy who plays Ned Ryerson. He plays a serial killer who's in a church threatening the life of a priest. And in this scene, Seagal is supposed to shoot him and kill him and save the priest. But he apparently comes to him before the scene rolls and says, you know what would be really better is if I didn't kill you. And I guess the producer and him were both kind of like, what are you talking about? You have to kill him. He's the serial killer. You have to kill. And apparently the guy had to convince Steven Seagal that it was like a morally justified killing, that if he didn't kill him, he'd go on killing people. I don't know. I just found that to be another hilarious Steven Seagal story. There are so many.
I've got a confession. I've never seen a Steven Seagal movie.
I don't know if I have either.
You've done yourself a favor. Have you ever seen one?
No, I'm also 24, so I guess I have
You're
a
little
bit of
young.
slack.
But okay, really?
I've never seen one. No.
I mean,
I've only ever seen him being made fun of for how bad some of his movies are.
Yeah,
how he like can't run or something.
He
on
can't
camera.
move. Well, now he can't move at all. Now he's like, now he's a little hefty in the mid region, a little older, doesn't have the mobility anymore. He can't do what he used to do even at all. He used to apparently be a legit martial artist. Funny fact about him, he was
How do you know so much about Steven Seagal?
I find him to be fascinating. He's so incredible.
Where is Steven? He should be on the wall, shouldn't he?
He was the first white man in Japan to lead a dojo of his particular martial art. He was the very first person in Japan to do that. And this is before he was an actor, so at one point, he actually probably knew what he was doing. Like, at one point, he wasn't totally full of shit. But I don't know what happened, but it changed. Anyway, that's my Steven Seagal rant for the day. Hey, man, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is fantastic.
This is a really cool start to a podcast already. I don't think we've ever started one this way. So we got Hostage Tape in the building. So I want to hear about how it all started. Why do this? What does it do? Just break it down for me. Start there.
Well, I mean, obviously, Hostage Tape. People, they hear it and they see it and they think, why the fuck would you call it Hostage Tape?
Yeah.
Right. So the story is basically, I went through a divorce, and through that divorce, anybody who has a partner who snores, you know how awful it is, and how. So in my particular case, we just started sleeping in separate bedrooms.
Wait, you snored or she snored?
I did.
You snored. Okay.
Yeah, I was a super awful snorer my whole life. And the thing about it is I think when you snore, a lot of times you don't realize you're doing it.
No.
And even when you're doing it, you kind of don't realize it's not normal.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be snoring. It's not a good thing that you're snoring. You don't want to be snoring. And so I went for the longest time. I just didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't know just anything about it. And so our marriage really just started to break down. Intimacy went away. And we slept in separate bedrooms for years.
From the snoring.
Yeah.
Years.
And when that
an indication if it's falling apart, man, as if you can't be in the same room. And I get that though. It's like your sleep is valuable.
Right. There's that, and there's not just the sex, but there's cuddling. There's just all sorts of intimacy there that gets lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when that happened, we ended up getting separated, and then we divorced.
Yeah.
And it was in that time of separation and divorce where I was going through that period of my life of like, all right, I need to make changes with myself too, right? Mm-hmm. How do I improve my health, myself? Because I was an athlete my whole life, right? I was a football player.
Cool.
So I played quarterback. I played in the Arena Football League for a number of years.
Nice. And
so when I retired around 2007. And when I retired, any athlete knows that when you retire and you hang up the cleats or the jersey, you always go through that like kind of dad bod phase where you might get kind of lazy or you lose yourself and you don't really know what to do. You have to find yourself again.
Amen.
And I lost myself. I didn't really know what to do. And we had kids. So I had my son Rex, he's 13.
Yeah.
And so I was a new dad, and I kind of didn't really know how to be a dad. Like every first-time dad knows.
Why do you think, because this is not the first time I've heard this, specifically pertaining to mid to high-level athletes, when they stop, they kind of just fall off the wagon, just entirely. Don't know what to do is a really good way to put it. Is it because you've had... And I don't know exactly to what extent your coaching was when you were playing. You've got your coaches, your strength coaches, your nutritionists. And the higher up you go, the worse that gets. Yeah. You are literally coddled through your training because that's your job. And you hire people to make you better. So when that all stops, I have noticed that a lot of times that kind of thing follows.
Yeah, I think for me it was two things. Number one, it's when your whole identity is a sport. Mm-hmm. My whole identity was football, right? Yeah. Like that was my religion. That's who I was. I identified everything I did, my hopes, my dreams, my aspirations, the way that I did whatever it was football. And when I think you step away from that, you're exiting a chapter, a quarter of your life to then go into the next quarter. And you're like, shit, I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. How am I supposed to do that? Because I can't be an athlete anymore. And not only that, you're not burning 6,000 calories a day like maybe you used to be.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So when you're down and, like, it was funny, when in college they used to order us Domino's pizza like every night. So they'd feed us Domino's pizza. So you're just shoveling food, but you're burning so much of it that it didn't really matter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
really matter what you were eating when we were younger. Mm-hmm. And so then the older you get, you have to certainly be much more cognizant of what you're putting in your body.
Sure. Oh yeah.
It doesn't work quite as efficient as it used to. Mm-hmm. But so that was a struggle. It was a struggle to find my identity.
Okay. And how long ago did you stop playing?
So that was 2007.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
that was 2007 when I officially retired from actually being somewhat of a professional. Like, granted, I wasn't making NFL money.
Sure.
But it was the dream to be the next Kurt Warner. Right.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Kurt Warner, you know that Kurt Warner, he rose from nobody, right? Stocking shelves at Hy-Vee, right? Shout out to Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Stocking shelves at Hy-Vee.
You gotta get him on here.
Absolutely, right? I wonder if he still lives here in Arizona. He might.
He did for a while. He had a place in Chandler. He had a nice place in Chandler. Remember his house?
No, I don't think I ever saw it.
See if you could pull up Kurt Warner's house in Chandler. It's got an island. It's got a moat, a literal moat.
Really?
He better have a green on it if there's an island.
I don't think he has a golf course, but he had a monstrous like house with a lake. I remember. I think it had a lake. It's a great looking house.
While he's pulling this up, I wanted to hear a little bit more about the name Hostage Tape too.
Yeah. So Hostage Tape in particular was a culmination of a bunch of things. So when I was mouth taping, when I first discovered it, so the backtrack to go to the beginning of it was I had discovered an article online, and I'm pretty sure it was James Nestor. James Nestor had written the book Breathe, this bestseller book that if you haven't read this book, you got to read this book.
It's on my list.
It's on mine
absolutely.
too.
Yeah, I need to. Do you know if it's on audiobook? Does it have Audible?
I don't know.
I
would imagine it is. I mean, it's a bestseller, so I'm sure it is.
Which one is it, Eli? I think that one's it.
Which one?
To the far down and right.
This one right here?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that's his house. Or, oh, man.
It's
been so long. Anyway, but please continue.
Yeah, so I discovered that, and when I read that article, and it said mouth breathing was the issue, I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me that because I'm breathing through my mouth when I sleep, that's the issue? How am I? I've been an athlete my whole life, right? I'm now in my 40s. How did I never, ever hear about this? Because I think here in Western
mouth
culture,
breathing is the issue for what? Did it expand beyond that sentence? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, so in the article, when you read the book about James Nestor that he wrote, he actually did an experiment. So he went into the Stanford Medical Center, and the experiment that they did was a 30-day experiment where they plugged their noses. So him and another guy, some famous guy from the Netherlands. So he went in, plugged their nose for 30 days to see what would happen.
So they only breathe through their mouth for 30 days.
Only breathe through their mouth.
Okay.
Right. And they did it at Stanford Medical Center. So a legitimate place.
Sure.
So there were doctors there who were measuring everything that they were experiencing, as well as just anecdotally what they were experiencing.
Sure.
And they stopped 10 days in. 10 days in, they stopped the experiment because they were snoring so bad, they developed sleep apnea, and their blood toxicity got to like deadly levels, right?
I read this.
Yes.
I heard they also showed signs of early type 2 diabetes.
I think so.
10 days.
Yes.
Yes.
So
I remember this study.
It got so bad that they stopped after 10 days, and then to really jumpstart back into improving themselves, then they would mouth tape at night and then only breathe through their nose, and they literally solved it, and they got healthy again within a few days. So it just goes to show you, like, look, one of the biggest things that people will say, like people who will look at us, anybody that mouth tapes, they'll say, where are all the studies at?
Sure.
I don't know why there aren't more studies. There are some. There are definitely a lot of studies out there that you can find, and there's one that we actually, it's on our website somewhere. But there are plenty of studies that actually show you, oh yeah, they took a group of people and that had mild sleep apnea, and they mouth taped, and they showed that, yeah, this actually does work, and it improves their sleep scientifically. But I think more importantly, it's how do you ignore the millions of people who've actually done it, who've mouth taped, and they're like, this changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. So if anything, you look at this and go, this is a non-intrusive way to change your life. Just try it. You know, it's not dangerous. That's the other kind of weird thing.
Oh, people are freaked out by
People
it.
freak out about it.
I would never do that. I could never. Connor Patterson.
Yeah.
I could never do that. Why?
They have.
I don't want to die, man. I'm like, what do you
yeah.
think that thing on your face is for? You're supposed to breathe through your nose, man. It's there for that reason.
They have this notion that like you're gonna tape your mouth and you're just not gonna wake up.
Someone's gonna come up and just plug your nose.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What am I gonna do? If I'm like, what are you gonna do? I mean, if worst case scenario, you could always do that.
Right. Well, I think again, it comes back to like what we don't in Western society. We just don't know and don't understand our nose and our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn that.
It's not just there to hold glasses, man. Your nose has a really good anatomical function.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, as somebody who I have worn hostage tape every night for the last 2 months now.
Yeah.
I haven't missed a single night. And I can personally attest to the fact, and look, I know that it affects my circadian rhythm. I know that I'm sleeping deeper. I am dreaming all of a sudden.
Yes.
Like weird things changed within days of doing this. I have probably had a dream at least every other night that I've remembered the next day since I started doing that.
Yeah.
Other stuff, like I don't wake up in the middle of the night to pee. Almost never.
Wow.
That was a regular routine thing for me.
Yep.
Almost always. I'll wake up in the morning. I got to go so bad because I've been sleeping all throughout the night.
Yeah.
It's weird. And
That's just it. You have to try it a lot of times. You have to just try it out and see how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, that's how they get turned. Is they go, holy shit, if you look at our reviews, there's tons of people who say, I was a huge skeptic. I thought this was bullshit. And I tried it. Holy shit, this changed my life.
yeah.
So I've heard a lot of people. I've never tried it myself. I've never tried.
You're afraid because of
tape
your
in my mouth.
beard.
Yeah, maybe it's my beard. But I've heard a lot of good things, in particular about hostage tape.
Yeah.
What sets hostage tape apart from other alternatives?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not just duct tape my mouth?
Well, exactly. And certainly there's a lot of people who will say, well, shit, you could just use micropore tape. In fact, the Power Project guys, right, Nsima, if you watch the podcast, they talked about it, where Nsima, he would use micropore tape. And most people do. And even
I tried it.
Even James Nestor talks about it, where he would use, he talks about using just a little strip of micropore tape on your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue comes down to it's not very comfortable.
No.
Right? It's really rigid.
And you want to worry about your beard? Try
And-
peeling duct tape off your
Right.
face.
Well, and for most men who've got facial hair like that,
Uh-huh.
that doesn't hold very well.
Yeah.
It does not hold very well.
For me, it would come off. It would get in my hair. It would get in my hair. When
Right.
That was the.
That's so tough.
Right. And too, so a lot of people, they'll go on Amazon and you could buy super cheap mouth tape, right?
Okay.
Oh, well, you could just buy it super cheap. Well, cool. Have you actually used it? Most people who have used that stuff, they wake up with that like on their arm.
Their arm.
And they're like, where did it go? Did I eat it? Right?
I've seen a couple companies that have them, and explain to me the logic of this. They have them, and in the middle of it, there's a gap. There's like a slit, so you can open your mouth. I'm like,
okay, I'll explain this.
I'm not a doctor, but
So there's a couple of variations of that. There's certainly one of our biggest competitors who has a little slit in the middle of it, right? They'll remain nameless. I don't want to give them a shameless plug.
sure.
But it's all purely just to give people the illusion of safety. That's it.
Okay.
I just don't see the safety thing. I just don't get how people think they must. Like, what do they think? Like, really, what do you think is going to happen? Do you really think you're going to be asleep, suffocate, and die?
Well, they market it as like you've got a slit in the middle of it just in case you need to be able to breathe through it.
yeah.
Like, well,
I'm like, I don't really think I need that out.
you don't need that, but it's purely, it gives people a sense of safety.
If you need a
That's
1
all.
a.m. cigarette,
The only
Now, the other one that you're talking about,
for water, I suppose I could see if that's the only thing I could think of. But your stuff, I've noticed you can peel it,
you could
take a sip,
then
and it'll
reapply
go
it.
back. It reapplies. It's not bad the second time.
Right. And so there's another brand that does completely around the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That idea, I think they designed it originally for younger kids, and they wanted to take the route of trying to really be safe and not cover the mouth completely.
I'm sorry, they go around the mouth,
So it goes around the mouth to try to hold the mouth closed.
but it doesn't go over the lips.
No. But again, the issue, and this goes back to your question about why is ours better than others. Look, most of us, guys like us, right? A little piece of tape or something around it, it's not going to hold my mouth shut at all, right? At all. And so we design hostage tape to be so comfortable that once you put it on, you barely know it's there. Because that's one of the biggest things, right? Is you're covering this vital part of your mouth that anytime you cover somebody's mouth, it's your gut reaction just go to rip away.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it so comfortable that you're covering your mouth that eventually once you get used to it, you're like, wow, I don't even realize it's there.
I don't know it's there.
Yeah.
I don't notice it's there. You've really never done this?
I've never done it.
Didn't
Never
I give
done
you
it.
some?
No.
Lies.
Maybe.
I swear I gave you like 2 or 3.
So
Have you ever done it?
I swear, if you say that you gave it to me, I'm gonna freak out. No, you've not given me any.
Well, okay, in my defense, you also never asked. I
didn't know you had extras.
I did not realize that both my team members
That's
had never
all right.
done this.
it's all good.
This is great. I'm telling you both, this is going to be a changer for you. The most annoying thing I
Toss
hear,
one.
this is like when you're not going to...
Oh, thank you.
The most annoying thing I hear, this is by far the worst thing people say to me. They go, oh, I don't really open my mouth when I sleep. I'm like, how in the world do you know?
How do you know?
Like, I just know. I'm like, let me tell you something. Everybody opens their mouth when they sleep. You're going to swallow 8,000 spiders a year, or whatever that stat is. They say that. We swallow like a certain, like thousands of spiders every year of our life because we sleep with our mouths open.
Not anymore.
You need to, seriously, that would be a funny as hell.
Be a funny
marketing
ad.
campaign.
Yeah,
it would be.
that would be
You
a
had
good one.
spiders and you put this on. You're like, did you know that every year you swallow 8,000 spiders? Look that up. Google how many spiders, maybe a year, that human beings swallow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was debunked because any statistic, if there's people that literally just eat spiders, it's going to skew the number of spiders that are eaten every year.
But
I'm pretty sure that was a
I mean,
thing.
if you Google that, I'm sure something comes up. The number of spiders per year people.
I think at Snopes it might have been debunked that it wasn't as bad as like what we thought it was.
I mean,
but
I'd like to
anything
not eat
over one
spider
is bad.
in my sleep.
Right?
while I
Yeah.
sleep. But it really is a very simple, easy to use, efficient little product.
So now, okay, the other differentiators, right, of why this is better is certainly the comfort. It's the most comfortable mouth tape you've ever put in your mouth, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Secondly is it's strong. So again, it goes back to we primarily designed it for guys like us who we have strong jaws. So just a little bit of piece of tape isn't going to hold our jaw shut.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be strong enough to be able to hold our jaw shut and work with facial hair, whether it's stubble, whether it's a little bit more. Now, certainly, like, yes, there's a point where if you've got a really, like, if you got, Liver King style facial hair, it might, I don't know, it might interfere.
Yeah.
But
I think this may be small enough, though, that even with a beard, you could still get it on your lips. Because that's the thing you want most.
yeah, you still can. You still should be. You still should be able to. But it's also, it's stretchy, right? So
God.
when you pull it,
4 live spiders in your sleep each year.
I see.
It's a myth?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, so when you pop it and then it's flexible. So
Okay.
So that's how you open it. It's
that's
just
the
like that.
other right.
Just like that.
Yeah, you pop
Cool.
it.
It's got ridges to it. It's not like a solid, unlike tape.
Right.
It's not just like a sticky surface. Does that have a reason why that did that? So it's more
well,
flexible, maybe?
Yeah. So when you put it on your mouth, right? Again, like you can smile with it, you can move your mouth, and it just again feels comfortable. So you forget it's there, right? And here's a couple of tricks that a lot of people don't know. So number one is when you open it, all you got to do is you pull it. Some people don't know that, and they think, how the hell do I peel it off? You pop it, right? And then when you actually apply it, you can rub it, and it activates the glue if you feel like it needs to stick better. So when you put it on,
Yeah, that's how I do it. Exactly. And then it's not, it just stays. And I'm telling you, and it comes off,
Right.
and you can reapply it again.
you can. I mean, it's not meant to be certainly multi-use.
But if you are worried about, like, I don't want to get up in the middle of the night and take it off and put it on and
But
take it out, like,
stretchy.
it can peel it, take a sip of water, and you can do it again.
And it's fabric, and again, to appeal to people's feel like they need it to be safe, it's fabric. Like you can see through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can literally breathe through it if you really had to.
What's it made of? What kind of? I mean, is it?
So
cotton?
it's a rayon elastic blend.
Interesting.
It's a rayon elastic blend.
Elastic.
And
Okay.
I spent about 6 months perfecting the adhesive on this.
Okay.
This is what I wanted to hear about from
Yes.
idea to launch.
Yes.
There's a ton of challenges that went between
Yeah.
that. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how did you get, I mean, it seems so simple
Now.
but like going through the whole process, getting it to production,
Yeah.
what were all the challenges? What were all the steps in between then?
Yeah. Well, let me answer your question about the name, and
Okay.
then we'll go right into that. So when I first started mouth taping, I used to warn people. So whoever was near me, whether it was my kids or anybody, my wife, I used to say, I'm going to warn you. I'm going to put some tape on my mouth. It's going to look like I'm being held hostage. Don't freak out. Because most people are like, you're putting tape on your mouth? What the fuck are you doing? It looks really weird.
Yeah.
So I used to say that. And let's be honest, when you put it on your mouth, you do look like you're being held hostage.
Yeah.
But also, the idea was I wanted to tap into the emotion that people felt. People feel like they're being held hostage by their partner or by poor sleep in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is the core reason why it's called hostage tape. And I knew, look, if I call it hostage tape, I'm going to get people's attention.
That's what I'm saying. I
I'm
love
gonna
the
get
name.
people's
I love the
attention
name too.
And I wanted to inspire people to actually have a conversation about it.
Even if they dislike it.
Yeah.
Even if
Still
they dislike
talking about
it. Right. It's super polarizing. People that love it, they hate it,
Uh-huh.
which is fine. Like, look, if you've got a brand like Liquid Death, you know,
Yeah.
we're kind of
good name drop. Yeah.
I'm using kind of the Liquid Death playbook in a lot of what we do.
Uh-huh.
Right.
What do they call that? Eli, what's that called? Is it reverse marketing or the making something very, very
I don't-
dangerous sounding?
I don't know the
Is it?
name, but right. Like,
There's a terminology for it in advertising.
right. It's you're not
Polarizing?
It's very polarizing. You're definitely not using the outcome of like what you like. Most people, they'll name a product based on the outcome you want them to
Yeah.
achieve.
Like sleep sound pads or something.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Not hostage tape.
Right.
I like it
So yeah, that it was to get people's attention, to be a thumb stopper, but also it taps into that core emotion. Because really, at the end of the day, what this is doing is it's solving such a huge problem. I mean, shit, I think Nestor talks about how there's 25 to 50% of the population breathes through their mouths, right? There's probably 50 to 75 million people in the U.S. alone.
How would you know that kind of a stat? Like, how would you possibly know that?
I think he did a shit ton of research for his book.
It seems
Breathe.
like almost everyone would
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
You're asleep. It's not you're not doing it voluntarily or involuntarily, but it seems like everybody in some way does do that. Everybody that I've ever
Right.
seen sleeping or you're just
Well,
a little bit.
on the plane when we were coming out from New York to Arizona, it was a 4-hour flight, and I got up and I looked back. The plane was dark, and there was a young woman sitting behind me, and she was like,
Yeah.
everybody for the most part
opens their mouth when they sleep.
mouth drops, and
do.
it happens naturally.
And that's
So-
what I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys have been doing this for a while. If you do this for a while, I don't know if there's any studies on it. Do you automatically or like by default start closing your mouth at night, or is there any research into that?
I don't know if there's research into it, but I know for me, I will never not open my mouth at night.
If I go to sleep without it, I do notice that I still open my
You still
mouth.
open your
Yeah.
mouth? Okay.
I still breathe through
Got
my
it.
mouth if I don't wear it. Like, I'll take naps and sometimes just won't. But now I take them every single time I want to go to sleep, nap, or otherwise I'll put this on.
Okay.
Because if I don't, I notice that I didn't. It has big translation beyond sleep, too. That's the other thing I want to talk about.
Yeah,
is
training.
the
Right.
Training.
Yeah.
The repercussions that this has for yoga, for training, for endurance, everything.
Right.
Endurance training is the biggest thing that I've noticed with this. I've been trying to go camelback with it. I can't do it. Can't make it. I end up making it because I mean that's elite. Camelback mountain is it's very, very hard. But I do it in the beginning. And you can do it in yoga, and my favorite is the sauna.
Okay.
Taking these, putting them on in the sauna, and forcing yourself to breathe through your nose. It's a lot easier to breathe through your nose if you sleep with this and breathe through your nose all night long.
Sure.
Nose breathing is a lot more natural if you're doing it subconsciously while you're asleep.
Yeah, so I think the moral of the story there is that I don't think, at least for myself and most people, I don't think most people, as they get older, you can just train your mouth to not open. But I think it does help you be more conscious of it during the day. So when you're sitting at your desk, you're working, or you're just out and about, I noticed that I'm way more, over the last 5 years, I'm way more conscious of keeping my mouth shut. I think Andrew Huberman, he talks about how you should not be opening your mouth unless you're talking or eating.
Yeah.
Other than that, you keep your mouth shut all the time.
Yeah.
So
that's what I tell my kids, at least.
Yeah.
Close your mouth. Because they breathe through their mouth. And like kids just do that. And that's where the term mouth breather comes from. It's like an insult of someone who's unintelligent, but it's not really that. It's
that
just
would be a great line of commercials. Mouth breathers. Like, mouth breathers.
You got to make, you know what you got to do? You got to make your little in-group, out-group like the Liver King did. Like, just call out the mouth breather.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I do.
Austin,
I do. So what's funny, here's what's funny about that, right? So I run a ton of Facebook ads. I would be surprised if anybody watching hasn't seen one of our Facebook and Instagram ads.
Sure.
If you fit in the demographic of 25 to 55-year-old males, you've probably seen an ad from us. Okay. But when I get people that go on there and they'll comment and they'll troll, you're not going to see any probably recently, but usually I'll call them out and I'll call them like a mouth breather. Right? Yeah. Or that's exactly what a mouth breather would say. This is exactly what a mouth breather would say.
Mouth breather.
That's right.
Or I'll tell them, sounds like you need to hashtag shut your mouth. Right? And people go ballistic. They think, oh my God, how rude. You are the worst company ever. You're insulting people. And then somebody will go, don't you realize that they sell mouth tape to shut your mouth and that's what they're actually doing?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't take it personally, bro. I heard somewhere that Liquid Death has a lawsuit pending against them because people say that they're promoting death.
Yeah,
and so I mean that kind of thing. There's nothing you can ever do to get away from everybody.
You're always gonna have those people, and we just let it roll off our back, and it is what it is, you know. Yeah. But to go back to the product development, so with the name, right? That was kind of how we came up with Hostage Tape. We knew it was going to be something that just got people's attention and really inspired people to start to pay attention to it. And so then it was, all right, now we need to start really figuring out like the right formula. And so I had got a ton of different samples of different types of fabric and different types of just what we wanted to use. And my co-founder, actually, Ben, who's not here, Ben was on the Power Project podcast with us.
Nice.
It was his idea to actually go, dude, we need to have something that's maybe similar to like a Band-Aid where it's fabric, where I originally didn't think about going the fabric route with it.
It does like a Band-Aid, like the not the soft part, but like the sticky part of a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's similar, but certainly like Band-Aids are rigid, right? And they should be because they're trying to keep maybe a wound closed or something. But so we decided to go this route. So we were just looking at different blends of fabric, right? And then we discovered this elastic kind of a fabric. We went, holy shit, this is it, right? And we knew we were going to go black, right? Yeah. We wanted to be black because we wanted people to know the black mouth tape is Hostage Tape.
Yeah.
So it stands out.
The other ones are clear
unique
or skin tone,
right?
Like a Band-Aid.
And we'll get people to go, why wouldn't you make it skin color? That's stupid. It's like, well, because we want people to know and look at it and go, that's Hostage Tape. Right. It clearly visually stands out.
Can you print on these?
We could.
Can you? Okay. Then we need to have that conversation.
So can we do a little zipper?
So one of the things we've thought about doing at some point was having limited drops of different colors and potentially putting things on there.
Like maybe a little 1% on there or something like that.
Maybe.
Dude, that'd be cool.
So, but the glue was the hardest part. That was the hardest part because it's either the glue, it's either too sticky, or it's not sticky enough. So it's finding that right balance of making it just right. Because there were versions of it where it was way too strong, and some of the people we would tested it with, they were like, "Holy shit, dude, that is really hard to get off in the morning." Like,
really hard to get off.
And so, like I said, I think I spent like 6 months really just finding the right mix of the adhesive to go on.
I was going to say, how long did this process take? This R&D development process?
I would say, so we officially launched the product in March of this year. So this company itself is fairly new, fairly young.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've taken off like a rocket.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you're trending hard. You've got a lot of TikTok presence, and
we are trending hugely.
You got guys like Mark Bell, guys like us. We like
Yeah.
what this is doing, and it's got a lot of ramifications. It's got a lot of positive. It's just positive. There's really nothing bad about this. Like you said, what's the worst thing that happens? You try it and you hate it. Okay, well,
exactly. It's like, just try it. Like, it's non-intrusive.
Try it for a week.
It's inexpensive. Mm-hmm. And I would challenge everybody, like, if you don't believe it, just order a 30-day try of it, $25. We've got a 30-day guarantee. Like, if you don't like it and it doesn't work, we'll give you your money back.
Is that the minimum time you'd recommend someone try it out? Like, if you tell someone?
Well, here's the thing. When people try it out, they usually know within a few days.
I knew within a few days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You're not gonna need
you don't need a month.
No, you're not gonna need a month.
Yeah.
You're gonna know in under a week.
Yep.
You're gonna feel it in a couple days.
Yep.
You probably will feel it your first night. I'm not kidding you. I hadn't had a dream in probably 8 or 9 years. I don't remember the last time I had like a dream where you woke up and you're like, whoa. As soon as I started doing this, I started having dreams.
You're gonna see. So there's people like you and me where the first time I mouth tape, I woke up and I felt like I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe how amazing I felt.
Yeah.
And there's going to be guys like that. But then there's going to be other people who they may not feel it right away. Mm-hmm. And it might take them a few days to really start to notice it. It just depends. Yeah. But for most people, 7 days, somewhere within 1 to 7 days, you'll absolutely know that this is changing your life. Okay. Absolutely.
Out of curiosity, have you found that there's any, like the adhesive that's over the lips and over the mouth, has anyone like ever broken out or had anything like any skin ramifications from using hostage tape?
Well, so it is a hypoallergenic adhesive, so it shouldn't create any issues. But look, like everybody's different. I think we have had like a few amount of people who said, you know what, I can't wear it because it did affect, their mouth. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't, because it is a hypoallergenic adhesive that it shouldn't affect most people. Okay. And it doesn't leave a residue. That was another thing, was making sure that once we found the right stickiness to it, was making sure that it's not leaving anything left behind.
Yeah.
Good
point.
Is there any demographic of people that this might be dangerous for? And I'm specifically thinking
yes. Okay.
Maybe fighters, people with deviated septums, so anybody with a real blockage in their nose.
I would say definitely a disclaimer, which we do have on our product page, is if you're really overweight, obese, you might have severe obstructive sleep apnea, right? Where it's not necessarily anything
like
other than
in your face.
Well, right, like it's the extra weight that you might be carrying. Where mouth tape isn't probably the sole fix there. You probably do need a CPAP, right?
You've got a laundry list of problems to solve before you worry about that.
Lose some weight, but also you should be wearing a CPAP, which that's another market for us. Like people wearing CPAPs, a huge problem is they have trouble keeping their mouth shut, or they don't like the chin straps and they're really uncomfortable. So
I wonder why.
So wearing hostage tape helps their CPAPs work better. So anybody out there who's
interesting, who's tested this?
Absolutely. My brother wears a CPAP. In fact, one of my former employees wears a CPAP, and they all wear hostage tape, and
they wear them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Is there any chance this could replace it?
I'm not going to tell people to not wear their CPAP. Fair. I know we have had users who say, look, I travel a lot. I hate wearing my CPAP, and I found that I can wear my hostage tape, and it works fantastic, and I don't need it when I travel. We have people who say that. But again, we're not any sort of medical people to say what you should and should be doing. Listen to your doctor for sure. But this is certainly
a lot of doctors, though, I know doctors that I've shown this to, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's for mouth taping when you sleep. What does that mean? I'm like, seriously?
Exactly. It's crazy, right?
This is not a very medical thing yet.
It's crazy the amount of, and I come from a medical family. My dad was a doctor.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Oh, wow.
So the amount of...
Did he know about this before you knew about this?
He did. In fact, so the funny story about this is when I started to kind of reveal it to my family, like, all right, this is my next project, because I had started I was a software entrepreneur before this.
Cool.
It was a a labor of love. It was a video analytics company that I ran for about 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we exited, sold it to a company over in Tel Aviv. And then I worked there for 2 years to finish out that, vesting and everything. And when I left there, that was when I was discovering the mouth taping journey, right? And then Ben and I had, my co-founder, we came up with hostage tape and we decided to launch it. And it was... I told my dad. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I got to see what my dad thinks. Because, when you have a dad that's a doctor, they're always the biggest skeptics of everything. And they always want to tell you everything. They want to tell you what to do and how to do it and everything.
Yeah.
They get off on that. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's fantastic. I've been doing that myself. In fact, he used to there's this particular brand of tape. He was an ophthalmologist. So there was a brand of tape that he would use during surgery. He's like, oh, yeah, actually, I don't like covering my mouth, but I would put it under my chin. So it would help keep
like
my...
a smiley face?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And he said it would help keep his jaw from dropping. Just solely because he didn't like the feeling of covering his mouth.
Does he now?
He doesn't yet.
Still working on him. Well, he's a doctor and an older gentleman. It's hard to get them to do things that are new. I can't get my dad to do it.
Yeah.
You got him in the cold plunge, though.
I don't understand how this isn't the easiest selling point in the world for everyone. This is really not all that hard to try. And it's...
Well, that's the thing we're trying to find out, right? Is why aren't people who see it and go to our landing pages, why aren't they buying it? Is it solely because they feel like, well, I don't want to try it because they think they're going to get taken or what? And
taken for what? $25?
Well, but that's the thing. We're trying to help people know that, look, we got a money back guarantee. If you want to try it and it doesn't work, you don't like it, you'll get your money back.
That helps.
That's huge.
Yeah. So, yeah. But
it's gotta be just skepticism of safety. That has to be. It's the only thing I can think.
That is one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest things that we see is people will say how they think you're just gonna not wake up. They think it's dangerous. Whenever I see it, I can't help but always think, you ride in a car every day. Do you know how dangerous your car is? Do you know how dangerous and the chances of you getting in a serious accident versus how many people have ever died from mouth taping? Nobody. Nobody's ever died from mouth taping.
No, I've certainly never heard of one.
Because really, what people don't know is that the way our bodies work is if you're asleep and you're not getting oxygen, your body wakes up. In fact, that's part of the reason why sleep apnea is so awful.
Yeah,
right?
You can't because sleep. Yeah,
your body keeps waking up constantly because you're not getting oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then you're not able to get into REM and you're not able to get your sleep cycles in. So your body's going to wake up. So if for some reason you're not getting oxygen, you'll wake up.
Yeah,
right. You're not just not going to wake up. And the other thing that people don't know is when people have sleep apnea, most of the people who die, they're not dying because they don't wake up. They die because of heart failure. Because their heart gets so stressed from they're just not getting sleep. They're not getting recovery.
Are they not getting enough oxygen to their heart? Or is it a matter of they're just stressed from
I think
no
it's
sleep?
the stress.
Stress from no sleep.
I think it's the stress on their heart, and then they have heart attack, and they have heart failure.
We did a video, one of the bigger ones we've done with your product. We did a video on the target of the greatest form of recovery. That was the title of the video.
Yeah.
And that's how we introduced your product, which may not be the way that everybody that's not another way that I saw anybody else introduce it, but I see sleep as the greatest form of recovery that's available to us. Better than cold plunge, better than sauna, better than yoga, better than anything. Sleep is your absolute best friend for recovery. This is a sleep aid, and this will increase that tenfold. And so that's how we introduced your product on our page, and that's kind of the angle that we're taking is from a sports performance recovery side of things. I mean, if you are an active person or a trying to be active person, and you're not sleeping well, I don't even know what percentage of Americans would say they don't sleep well.
I think most.
I was about to say most Americans would say, hey, if you could, would you improve your sleep? Yeah, I would love to improve my sleep. My sleep sucks, or my sleep is okay.
And then you ask them, do you know why? And they go, I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I drink too much caffeine. And that's the thing too. It's not that. It's usually your inability to stay asleep.
Yeah,
not fall asleep. Because most people can fall asleep. like people just smoke weed, you'll fall asleep, but it's not gonna stay that way. You're gonna wake up in the middle of the night. Usually, that's how we get interrupted patterns of sleep. At least I did when I was wearing my Whoop.
Yeah.
Getting sunlight in the morning, sunlight in the evening, like all of the setting the circadian rhythm.
Yeah,
that Andrew Huebner, the Huebner podcast was real good on sleep, and I think he did mention mouth taping.
Huberman, he's a big proponent of mouth taping. He talks about it quite a bit. And
you ever done anything with him?
I've only been in contact with his team.
Gotcha.
He's certainly somebody we'd love to work with because he's a big one out there. He's
a big voice.
He's an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, certainly. So
yeah, no, it's great, man. I think what you guys have made is very, very cool. And with the marketing side of it, what do you want to do next? Do you have any big, strange new goals or anything you want to change? Or because you're so new, it's still kind of new to market.
Well, so the idea with this product is that there's actually there's a whole core of sleep products that we have coming out.
Oh,
right. So we do have a mask. I didn't bring the mask with me,
like an eye mask,
a sleep mask. Right.
Sick.
Yeah. So we do have it's called the hostage blindfold. So
this is great.
Most people, when we do have these bundles that you can get that have both of them, or if you go on and you try to order that, we'll show you a pop up that say, hey, you want to add in a sleep blindfold. But because that's something that Huberman talks about, Matt Walker talks about, that light is such a huge, it's another huge reason why you're not getting sleep, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully I do this justice. I think what Matt Walker talks about is when you go to sleep, if you're looking at your phone and that blue light's hitting your eyes, or there's any other light that's hitting your eyes before bedtime,
which we all have,
it messes with the melatonin production in your body, which melatonin helps you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Right. And then when that messes with you, you can't fall asleep. Doesn't work too well.
Yeah.
And so the light's a huge part. So we've got that. And then we've also got some nasal strips coming out here
to widen your nose.
Yeah. So
because I've seen that. I've seen people doing
those
both.
Those work. I've tried those.
Have you?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So funny story about nasal strips. I'd actually never worn a nasal strip before until a few months ago. And so my co-founder Ben, he was like, "Okay, dude, you just try something for me. Take your hands, put it in your nostrils, and go like this." And I went, "Holy shit." That's what a nasal strip feels like, and this is what it feels like to breathe normally. He's like, yeah. So I went, so I went to Walgreens and I picked up some breathe rights. Everybody knows a breathe right.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I picked some of those up and I put it on and I was like, holy shit. So I went to bed and I had my hostage tape on and a breathe right, and my wife, she was like, I had to look over and see if you were dead because I couldn't hear anything coming out of you. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because most people, there's a few different types of snores, right? Typically, most people will snore through their mouth because they've got their mouth open and you're creating noise, right? The relaxed part of your tongue and everything back here.
Sure.
But there's also people who, even if you have your mouth shut, you're breathing or you're snoring through your nose, right?
Really?
You're getting just vibrations.
Sure.
If your nasal passages aren't very big, you're going to create vibration.
Sorry, I'm testing it in
right? You're going to create vibrations that sound like snoring through there.
Through your nose. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who that's how they snore. Right?
I didn't think it was possible to snore with your mouth closed. It is.
So
interesting.
So when I put the nasal strip on, it just widened that even more and helped me get better oxygen, better air through my nose, even better than before. So it was at that moment I was like, okay, yeah, there's definitely something here too.
Right.
And so now we've got a black strip, a black version of our nasal strip. They're going to be called our hostage strips. They're going to be coming out here in the first quarter of next year here.
Awesome.
I like it. So, awesome. So you'll have 3 products then: the tape, the strips, and the blind.
Right. Yep. And so there'll be more too. There's all the different elements, the very non-intrusive, simple, easy things that we can do to try to help improve sleep. We'll continue to expand this line to try to help people.
So coming from someone that's never used these before, one every night, you use a different one every night?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have like a subscription? Someone can subscribe to keep refilling them once you run out? How does that work?
Yeah. So certainly for many people, they'll come and they'll go, well, look, I don't want to subscribe yet. I have to see if it works.
Yeah.
So you can buy a month, right? 30-day supply, try it out. Again, money back guarantee. If you don't like it, doesn't work, get your money back. So you've got nothing to lose to try it out. But for most people, once they try it, usually it's within like a few days. They're like, holy shit, this just changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can subscribe. And so we have 2 subscriptions. We have a yearly subscription where it's the least expensive, right? When you actually look at the unit economics of like per strip.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's 55 cents a day.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That you're getting the best sleep of your life now.
Yeah.
Or we've got a quarterly subscription. So there's a $199 for the year, or there's a $55 for every quarter.
Got it.
You can subscribe, and then you're going to get automatic pouches of tape like this.
Yeah.
Get sent to you every year or every 3 months or 4 months.
That's incredible.
It is
Yeah,
incredible.
people always go, why didn't I think of this idea? And this is one of them. I think this is such a great idea and such a great business model. Combine the name, everything with it, and what it does for you. I think it's so incredible what you're doing and what it can do for people. Getting quality sleep is so important, and this just underlines that.
I think what's so great about this kind of product in particular compared to, when you're an entrepreneur and you're finding businesses to start, this is something that's solving a serious problem. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you have a product that's solving a serious problem that such a large amount of people have, then there's a lot of opportunity there. And nothing makes my day more than when I see a new review of somebody that says it's changed my life. Or like, okay, I got a guy today who he's a former NHL hockey player. Mm-hmm. He does a podcast. He's got a business, I think, like yours, where you're training people. And he was an example of somebody who broke his nose multiple times, right? So this is that other subset of people that you were asking about earlier, where fighters, MMA fighters, hockey players, people who have broken their noses, right? Like, and they're like, dude, I would never be able to do that. So he told the story of where, he broke his nose multiple times as a hockey player, and he's been breathing through his mouth now when he sleeps, snoring like a banshee, and his fiance just wants to kill him. Right.
It's the worst. It really is.
Yeah.
Like little subs. It's the worst thing one human can do to another is snore. I could see myself killing someone if they snore.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
So Alfie does not snore.
Alfie does not snore.
Okay,
Alfie is silent. He would never sleep with me.
So see, basically he's like, look, I was so nervous to try this because deviated septum, issues with his nose. He's like, man, if I'm covering my mouth, am I going to wake up? Right? Like, it's that same worry that a lot of people have. Mm-hmm. And he started wearing it. I think he wore it for the last 2 weeks. And he was like, oh my God, I don't snore anymore. I'm actually getting amazing sleep. He's like, I feel like I'm a teenager again. He goes, wow, this is amazing. So it's those kind of stories from somebody like that who had a serious issue with his nose, that it's changing their lives. Another good one is, I think his name is Greg Anderson. He's I think a jiu-jitsu instructor. He's got a podcast up in Washington.
Oh yeah, I follow him.
You might know him.
I do.
Okay. Yeah. So shout out to him. He's got a phenomenal story where he broke his nose a bunch of times too, and he had to have surgery done on his nose, I think multiple times, because it was so bad. And he's got these gruesome pictures of what it looked like.
Sick.
And so he couldn't breathe through his nose at all, but he forced his body to retrain itself to get used to breathing through his nose again, because the nose is really one of those organs where if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, right? It's just going to close up. Mm-hmm. So what people don't realize is that if you go to bed and you feel you're congested, well, if you actually shut your mouth and breathe through your nose, it will open up.
Yep. That's
right?
the
It
other
will
complaint people get.
open up.
No, I'm congested. I'm sick. I can't do this if I'm like, can I do this if I'm sick? I'm like, yeah, dude, you can.
Yeah.
We just went through. We're going through flu season. I haven't stopped. I've been sick while having them. It doesn't matter. Your nose is made to deal with this.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to you're going to be fine, even if you're congested, even if you feel sick.
Yeah, totally. And so he forced himself to relearn how to breathe through his nose, and now it's opened up, and he wears hostage tape every night. And again, another example of somebody like that who, worst possible case of what could happen with their nose, and it's changed his life, right? So nothing to lose.
It'll help you throughout the day too. That's one thing I think the yogis get really well, is training you on how to breathe and how breathing properly can be used for so many different things, just even beyond just sleeping. Relieving stress, anxiety throughout the day. If you have a proper understanding of how to breathe through your nose and the different, Wim Hof,
regulating body temperature.
They say it links to like killing cancer. Like proper breathing metrics have been linked to that as well. It's really, really undervalued. I don't think anyone really thinks about it until someone's like in their face talking to them about it. I certainly didn't really think about it until I've done yoga for years, so that side of things,
I thought that was bullshit. I did yoga like for a number of years in the middle of my divorce, and
that would help.
They how they always like, all right, breathe through, like they're saying the breathing techniques.
Yeah.
And I was always like, oh, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Whatever. So I would just do the yoga, and I thought it was a horseshit. Right. But Eastern medicine, yogis, all those guys, they know it. And they've known it for
it's old
thousands of years. And for some reason, we've lost that in Western society, even in like athletics. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a great story of like 50, 60 years ago, whatever, the old runners, they used to put water in their mouths when they would run.
Yeah.
So they're forcing them to breathe through their nose.
Yep.
What happened to that? How come we're not taught that anymore? Again, I was an athlete my whole life. Never, ever did I ever have a coach talk to me and tell me how we need to focus on breathing through our nose. Never.
Or during weightlifting. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You see guys, it's like if you have a proper understanding of breath metrics and how to actually do that while you move weight, you're going to be way more efficient under the actual barbell.
Yeah. In jiu-jitsu, right? Like I think Joe Rogan has talked about it, where once you see a guy breathing through his mouth, he's done. You got him.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I think a lot of it is, Western medicine has fallen short in a lot of different areas, but the skepticism specifically around, I think yoga is probably the best practitioner of this type of breathing because they just, day one, it's the very first thing they teach you. The very first thing they talk about, a good instructor will address breath. When you sit there, they'll tell you, take a big, deep breath. And you can do yoga in one of two different ways. I always say it's kind of a make of it what you will journey. You can go in there.
Practice.
It's a practice, but you can go in there. The point is, if you go in and you're like, all right, hey man, I'm just here to fix my back. Like, I don't need to be taught how to like breathe spiritually or any of this stuff. If you go in there like that, you're going to really abbreviate the progress you're going to make. But if you really do kind of let go of whatever your preconceived notion is and you listen to the instructor, if it's a good instructor and you tap into that side of the yoga experience, you're going to get a whole lot more out of it.
Could you do all 80 minutes with this on your mouth?
I wouldn't want to. I've tried it. I've done it.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yoga, it's not just breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. You've got the lion's breath, where at the end of each flow, if you're doing Bikram like you and I do, you do a big lion's breath as an exhale through the mouth. Okay. So it's a big inhale through the nose, and you empty all of your lung capacity through your mouth.
That makes sense.
That is a vitally important part of the practice, at least for me. So I don't wear it during yoga, but I do during either ice baths or the sauna.
Okay,
I wear them in the sauna.
What I always think is interesting about the Western medicine stuff, right, is so a lot of people they'll grab an article, they'll do a quick Google search, right, and they'll grab an article of some medical center who had quoted one doctor who said, "Do not mouth tape; it's dangerous." This and that and all the other, right? And what's funny, it's like, well, of course, you can take anything and make it look one way.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you went into a room and maybe there's 10 doctors. And you got the one guy who said it was bad, and you quoted him, what did the other 9 doctors say?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, there's probably 9 other doctors who might say, oh, actually, no, mouth taping is fantastic, right?
Or I don't know. I haven't done enough research on it.
Right.
That's why.
Where are those guys in the statistics?
That's why peer-reviewed studies are so vital in something like this.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely not.
There's not, though.
I don't think there's a peer-reviewed study on this. I don't know why. And there's definitely not a consensus of it's good or bad, right? I
don't always like peer-reviewed. I don't always like peer-reviewed. There's peer-reviewed studies saying that ice baths are terrible for you. There's peer-reviewed studies. Yeah.
There's peer-reviewed studies saying...
There's peer-reviewed studies saying that contrast therapy interferes with hypertrophy training and that you are breaking down your muscles in a way that eliminating your fatigue afterwards is not a good thing. Wow. There are peer-reviewed studies, and it's not without justification, but to me the benefits far outweigh the potential.
Yeah, because that's just one negative effect. There's so many other benefits outside of that you could, if you're just looking and isolating that. Yes.
Oftentimes the belief is that if I'm going to the gym, my goal is always to just build muscle. That's my goal all the time. And that's not always the goal. That's not always what people are trying to do. Maybe I'm perfectly okay with where I'm at with my muscle dexterity. I don't need to put on any more weight. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for a mental release. I'm here to, sustain what I have. I'm here to, be functional. There's all sorts of different goals you could have. It's not just that. But my point is, look, BioLane's great, but guys that just do that and that's all they do is just peer review. If it's not peer reviewed, it's bullshit. It doesn't exist. He probably hasn't. Has he weighed in on this yet? That guy, you seen BioLane?
In fact, I listened to him on Ed Milet on the plane coming out here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't heard him talk about. I don't listen to enough of him.
Well, if this isn't peer review, it will be. It will be
because you're an early adapter, but you're on the very beginning of it.
I'm saying you're not. BioLane is a perfect example of guy. He ain't gonna do anything with this if it's not peer reviewed. If the subject isn't peer reviewed, he won't touch it.
Okay.
And that sucks because then he's not on the fringe of anything. All he does is talk about things that have happened 5-10 years ago.
Well, we certainly get a plethora of those kind of people too. Who are like, if it's not peer reviewed or reviewed, then this is why would I even waste my time? But again, I go back to the idea of like, look, it's non-intrusive. You could try it, and how can you ignore the millions of people who have tried it or do it and say that it changes their life? You can't ignore that.
No.
Yeah. There's overwhelming anecdotal data coming in that shows us, this changed my life.
And what are we doing here? I mean, what's your goal? Is your goal to teach a college thesis class on this? Well, then, all right, maybe you need a peer-reviewed study. But if your goal is to sleep better, maybe, then why not? Give it a try.
Exactly. If it can change your life, save your marriage, God knows what else, try it out. If you don't want to try a hostage tape, then try some cheap medical tape.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you're ready to,
I don't know why you would even do that. I don't. Honestly, just do it. Just get hostage tape because anybody who's done that medical tape thing, I did it I did just like in SEMA. Before I did this, I tried that. It's not fun.
Tell everybody your experience of why medical tape sucks and why this is so much better.
It comes off. Medical tape comes off in the night. I would wake up. It'd be like on my upper lip, but not my lower lip. It would let go. So then I knew it didn't really work.
Okay.
This doesn't let go. It would come off. It would get in my hair. It would be in my clothes. My dog would eat it. It was, it was not. No, the medical tape thing sucked, and it's not as fun to take off either. Like you would hate it. It's not fun with your facial. And I used to have a beard when I was doing the medical tape, so I really didn't like it. I actually started this when I had a beard. So I had a beard when I started using your product, so I know that it works with one. I just shaved it off, and now it works even better. But no, it's great, man. It's a great product. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or find this or where do they go?
Yeah, so obviously on Instagram, Hostage Tape, at Hostage Tape. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. Mm-hmm. We're all over the place. But HostageTape.com, you can find us there.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was great. And we'll cut it there.